welcome to Derry, episode 2. Let's get right into it. And I know a lot of people were kind of nervous and thinking that the events of the final moments of episode 1 was all a dream. And it was, but does not mean that it didn't actually happen. So, Teddy and Phil, they're done. They're gone. They're a pack. And it's been a week, and they're trying to pin these murders on Ronnie's father. And also, we get more of Leroy's family. We see Will, that's Mike's father, that we get to know in the It movies and whatnot. And it's going to be interesting to see his story kind of play out. He's really into, science and space and whatnot. But just seeing all these black characters on display for a good chunk of this episode was really dope. Kind of just seeing them and interacting with one another. And also, you're going to have obvious racism at this time, but this was a really interesting start, and it continues as there is a curfew because of what happened at the theater. And Marge, and if I was saying Margaret in the previous episode, I apologize, but Marge I don't fuck with. I don't like her at all. She is somebody that's trying to play both sides, trying to impress the mean girls or the patty cakes, and she's genuinely concerned about Lily and what's going on with her, but she's too caught up with trying to be popular. She's starting to kind of regret her decision. We also see Charlotte. She is kind of walking around town. Still don't understand what she's going to be doing in all of this. She does, however, see a fight kind of break out in this episode and notices that the people don't have any interactions or reactions to what happened. And I'm curious to see just where they're going to take her story with all of that. Obviously, there are some kind of back and forth moments or some little arguments between her and Leroy and just everything and just parenting and how to go about parenting Will and whatnot. All the stuff that, you would see parents do. Also, Leroy is looking into his attackers and whatnot. That gets kind of interesting. That leads into something much bigger. Now, we get to one of my favorite moments of this episode and of this series so far is the creativity that goes into just scaring the fuck out of these kids. We see Ronnie just chilling in her bed. She's frustrated that, her father might get taken away, being, charged with murder, pretty much. And rumor spreads really quick in this small ass town. But anyways, she's underneath the covers, and then all of a sudden she's not able to kind of get out of these covers. These covers turn into skin, and it looks like she's drowning, but then she kind of pops out like a fucking baby. And also, what ends up happening is she sees her mom, and her mom turns into pretty much it's obviously Pennywise. And this is our first glimpse at Pennywise. We see the eyes. Obviously, it's CG. Not the greatest, but, it still gets the job done and scares the living shit out of Ronnie here. And I just love the practical effects here, even with the umbilical cord. Just everything about the scene is really fucking crazy. And they do it again later on in the episode. We'll get into that very shortly. But I really wanted to praise this whole entire sequence. This was really fucking dope. And we see Dick Halloran. He's just chilling with some other people from base and whatnot. Obviously, he's got the Shining and stuff. So he kind of gets some weird vibes just at this bar and tells everybody yo, let's get the fuck up out of here. But Clint Bowers, I think that's gonna end up being an old boy's father. Anyways, he is getting pressured into just putting this on somebody because people are getting irritated. They know it's they wanted to just be put on to Ronnie's father, but he's stuck in between being an actual good cop and um, just doing what the town wants. Also, going back to Dick real quick, is he gets back to base and some guy at the gate kind of gives him a hard time. He just tell the people my name and we'll get through it. It was kind of interesting because everybody's been getting kind of questioned about Leroy's attacks and stuff besides him. He's been kind of given special treatment, which is kind of interesting, and I'm curious to see where that kind of goes for his character and how his character and Leroy are going to interact with one another. But anyways, back at the school, things are really awkward for Lily, obviously, because everybody is talking. Marge obviously is just being as phony, just still kind of worried about Lily. But then Ronnie confronts Lily about the whole situation. Like, what did you say to the cops? And it pretty much their stories didn't line up, and so Ronnie gets really upset and yells out bullshit. She lands herself in detention. Then we switch things over to Will, where we get also introduced to another new character, Rich. He's a little short dude, but he has a thing for Marge, which is really fucking weird. And it was really fucking funny how it played out. You had this one girl just giving the middle finger. It might be his little sister or something like that. But then this is where Ronnie and both Will end up in detention, and sparks start to fly, man. And this guy that's playing Will, this kid's gonna be a star, man. He's going to be a fucking star, and they already kind of, start to kind of get to know each other. Then Ronnie notices that Lily is getting taken away by the police, which leads her to being questioned by Bowers. And Bowers pretty much kind of manipulating her into saying that it was Ronnie's father. That leads to an arrest. And Ronnie is just fuming at this point, even goes to Lily's house and knocks on her door. Does not give a fuck about what the mom's talking about and says, man, what did you do? What did you say? That's going to be an interesting kind of thing moving forward that is caused these two to have beef now. Then they kick things back to Leroy, where through his investigation, he figures out, no, this wasn't Masters. He wasn't behind this. This was all pretty much a test to see if the sergeant, whatever, could trust Leroy. And what he finds out is pretty interesting. But before we get into that, I want to get into my second favorite moment of this episode, which is this scene that takes place in a supermarket. And man, Lily has been scarred for life with this. Like, I just really like the creative nature of it. It almost felt like a set play, with all the aisles kind of changing and it just getting smaller and smaller as she keeps going around, being absolutely terrified or traumatized by fucking pickles. This shit is something I never thought I would see. This is some shit out of nightmares. Still, the CGI kind of effects are kind of weird. I know that's going to be a complaint for some people, but I really like the creativity that went into this scene. So the episode ends with Lily going back to the loony bin, which is really fucked up. And this place already kind of gives me the creeps. They're just looking at her really weird. And maybe there's some sexual abuse that kind of went down here because the whole pickles thing, I feel like there's some trauma there and why she hates being at this place. And now getting back to what Leroy was kind of doing, they're showing him that they want to weaponize whatever Pennywise, they think Pennywise is, or whatever this entity is. They want to try to weaponize it against their enemies, which is so fucking stupid. I was like, you're not going to be able to control that. I don't know how I feel about all of that or where that's going to lead, but overall, this episode was really fucking good. Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Make sure you hit that like button, subscribe if you're new. Till next time, I'm out. Peace.